I'm Georgia Grieve. I'm the creator of All Stripes, 10 Years of Diary Comics, and this is the True North Country Comics podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics podcast, dedicated to celebrate Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Georgia Grieve about her new book, All Stripes, 10 Years of Diary Comics, published by Inservice Comics. Georgia Grieve is a librarian, museum professional, user experience designer, graphic designer, conceptual artist, and comics creator working in Toronto, Ontario. Her interests are in exploring the intersection of technology and arts and culture. In pursuit of this interest, Georgia recently completed concurrent Master of Museum Studies and Master of Information, specializing in user experience design programs at the University of Toronto. Topics of interest include the decolonization of museums, culture-led well-being, accessibility, visitor experience, and participatory design. Her autobiographical comics explore everyday events and larger themes in her life, often using humor to cut through life's challenges. Georgia's work has been published in several anthologies, and she's tabled at comic arts festivals across Canada and internationally. All Stripes, 10 Years of Diary Comics is Georgia's first book. All Stripes, 10 Years of Diary Comics tackles many of life's little things that seem too big to handle. The ups and downs of naturally curly hair, living with roommates you're related to, anxiety management, and unintentionally fostering Toronto raccoons. When life gets you down, you have to remain hopeful and compassionate. So, without further ado, here's my chat with Georgia Grieve about her new book, All Stripes, 10 Years of Diary Comics, published by Inservice Comics. So, Georgia Grieve, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate your time. Before I start going through all the questions, I would like to know, what was the first comic book that you read?
Okay. I think it's a toss-up. It's either Tintin or Calvin and Hobbes. We had a couple of each in the house growing up. Yeah, so I think that's where it all began.
Yeah, good stuff there, that's for sure. But I'm wondering, who or what inspires you to create today?
I think there's a bit of a mix here. I became a really avid journal writer when I was in my teens and 20s. I don't do that as much now that I have regular therapy, which is really helpful. But I think my comics comes from a similar place of like the journal writing piece. Like I have this desire to externalize internal things and to sort of make meaning from what's going on in my head. And I think when I sort of rediscovered comics later in my young adult life and found autobiocomics, which was different than all of the fiction from when I was a kid, then those two, the journal writing thing came together with the autobio thing. And I think that's what drives me to create.
Was there any one particular autobio book that caught your fancy, going, oh yeah, that sounds really cool?
Yeah, I think, well, a couple of things. My mom used to go to TCAF. She's a teacher librarian and would bring home various things. So I think one of the early ones was Little Fish by Ramsey Bayer. That really caught my attention. And then not long after, when I was in undergrad, some of my assigned readings were Fun Home and Persepolis.
Well, we're here talking about your new graphic novel called All Stripes, 10 Years of Diary Comics. We could talk a little bit about it. What's the book all about?
Yeah, so this is a culmination of 10 years of work. I've been drawing little comics about my life and mostly posting them online. And Nick from InService reached out and it was perfect timing. And we decided to make this book together. So it's a collection of sort of mundane comics, silly comics, mental health comics that I've collected and redrawn early last year. It's sort of a combination of the old and the new, my present style with some reworked ideas. Yeah, celebrating the last 10 years of my comics journey.
And the last 10 years have been very much ups and downs, I
Yes.
think, for everybody. So for you to encapsulate those in comic form is quite unique.
Yeah.
So you don't have any hesitation to putting yourself out there, because a lot of these diary comics are about your personal life. You don't have any hesitation about that.
I think I do have hesitation, but I try to do it anyway. I think there's a few comics about therapy in there and stuff. So yeah, I guess starting a discussion and perhaps putting myself out there is seeking connection as well. other people identify and we can connect. And I think that's really cool.
It is, yeah, absolutely. Now, you just mentioned that you had to redo some of your diary comics. Is that something that you felt perhaps was necessary for the narrative or the flow of the book itself, or was it just you thought it needed a little bit of fixing up?
Yeah, I definitely felt it needed a spruce. There was a pretty sharp contrast in some of the older comics. And if you scroll back through my Instagram, you can see that I've come a long way. So, yeah, I felt strongly about wanting to make it sort of a more cohesive experience.
We were just touching upon this, but can you describe your creative process? Wondering what tools you use to create your art.
I have gone fully digital. I've been using an iPad and Apple Pencil for quite some time now. Prior to that, there were a few different pencils, tracing papers, scanning things, but I've been all digital for quite a long time. I just find the workflow so much faster. Yeah, and especially for posting online, I just want to put it out there while I still have the courage. So the fastest way possible is the best.
Is it because also you can have an idea and immediately jot it down or at least start the process?
Yeah, exactly.
What about the portability factor? Do you take it with you if you're out and about, let's say, in the real world outside of your workspace or your creative studio?
I definitely have. Yes. Yeah, the portability is really nice.
Now, you mentioned Inservice Comics. That's the publisher of your book. What was it like working with them?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, I think we sort of started this process in January 2025. Nick and I have become friends throughout that time. Yeah, it's been really good. We're checking in regularly, working away. Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Did he perhaps help you from the editorial standpoint, perhaps suggesting a few things to be tweaked here and there?
Yeah, we worked together on like I sort of did initial selections and then he gave feedback and yeah, and then little edits here and there throughout.
This isn't your first comic project, although this is your first book per se, but not your first comic project. I presume that you've done some other work in the past.
Yeah, well, there's been all of the online stuff, and then also I've done a few slightly longer mini comics over the years. Some of them are actually included in this book. There's a story about fighting off raccoons from my balcony that was a mini comic. And there's a collection of comics about life with boobs and the challenges that's also made it into the book. That was a mini comic as well.
And you've participated in some anthologies, I think.
Yeah, I was in Pulping One. I was also in a couple of in-service ones, First Dates and the music anthology.
What is the benefit to being in an anthology versus creating your own book?
I think having a theme is always helpful. Staring at a blank page without an idea is challenging, but if there's a theme that helps get the creative stuff flowing, yeah, it's also just nice to be included with other people, to be like a member of the community. I really appreciate that as well.
Now, we've been talking about your latest book, which is All Stripes. I'm wondering, can you talk about what's next? Is there something else on your drawing board that you're thinking about doing?
Yes. For the last year, I've been working on a longer form memoir project. I think working title is called Mending. It's about reconnecting with my family after some time estranged, and it's a bit of a travel log in Thailand as well. Yeah, so it's a bit of a departure from my previous shorter form work. So that's an exciting new challenge.
And I presume that with traveling, the iPad comes in very handy.
Yes. Yeah, really.
I think maybe just looking through your Instagram, there was a couple of color images that pop up, but would you say that most of your work is in black and white?
Yes. I find color very daunting and challenging. It's something that I'm trying to do more of, but black and white is definitely my comfort zone.
Now, you mentioned at the outset TCAF. You got some books from there in the past. I understand you're going to be exhibiting at this year's Toronto Comic Arts Festival. What are you looking forward to most at this event?
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess I'm really excited to be included. This is my first year tabling at TCAF. So, yeah, like I'm really, oh, so excited to be there. Yeah, I think just being in the space surrounded by so many other comics people or people interested in comics. Yeah, for a whole weekend. Oh, just overall, I'm over the moon.
Well, what do you hope to get out of the entire event?
Yeah, I think there's a camaraderie amongst the people tabling, and I really enjoy that connection. And I'm excited to share this new book. It has a spine and everything. It's a real book.
Yeah, there's something to be said about holding your own book in your hands. I think I've seen that joy from a lot of folks who post online about opening the box and sharing that excitement with others, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about TCAF. Do you have any other events or festivities planned for this year to promote your book?
Yeah, well, just leading up to TCAF will be the In-Service launch event. That's on June 4th. So that'll be the springboard into the TCAF weekend. And then later in the fall, I'll be at Prairie Comics Festival, September 6th and 7th. And the rest is TBD. We'll see. Hopefully, there will be more events this year.
Well, with everything you have going on today and in the future, where do you recommend that people go online to find out more about you?
Yeah, so right now I'm most active on Instagram. So I'm at GG Comics, which is GEEGEE Comics. And you can also find me on my website, ggcomics.com.
Thanks to Georgia for the chat. You can discover more about Georgia Grieve online at gegecomics.com and on Instagram at gegecomics. You can discover more about All Stripes' 10 Years of Diary Comics at Inservice Comics. And thank you for tuning in to the True North Country Comics podcast. I invite you to visit True North Country Comics website to listen to even more conversations with creators about making comic books and graphic novels. You can follow along True North Country Comics on most social media platforms, and you're encouraged to send any and all feedback to John at truenorthcountrycomics.com. Thanks for tuning in, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2026.